The biggest issue facing the Duttons as we get into episode 2 is the county medical examiner's autopsy report on Lee's death. After meeting with Governor Perry, Jamie learns that Lee couldn't have shot and killed Monica's brother Robert because Lee was shot first and that paralyzed his arms. The initial theory was that Lee shot Robert in self-defense, but now they know that a third shooter must have been involved and that's who killed Robert. This unidentified shooter is Casey, and Jamie suspects that to be the case as well, but there's no proof yet. The incident is already national news, and if it came out that Casey killed Robert, it would make things even more complicated for the Duttons. The governor and the attorney general say they can hold this report for a week while Jamie tries to find a solution. Jamie asks Beth for advice, but she's not in a good mood because she has to hang around the ranch to help out his father and because she hates Jamie with a passion. Jamie then talks to his father, telling him that other law enforcement agencies will get involved when the autopsy report is out and they will dig up Lee's body to confirm the autopsy. Jamie thinks they should cremate Lee's body to prevent that. John is hesitant at first, but he warms up to the idea once he realizes that Casey might be the third shooter. Robert's autopsy report showed that whoever killed him knew what he was doing, the shots were pristine, and given the fact that Casey is a former soldier and he was at the scene, the blame would fall on him. John chats with Casey about that night, and Casey implies that he was indeed the shooter, which is why John is willing to cremate Lee's body. This way, other law enforcement agencies will not be able to verify the accuracy of the county medical examiner's report. They end up cremating Lee's body, but something still has to be done about the original report as well. Luckily for John, the county medical examiner was fired from his job in Chicago after he got caught smoking embalming fluid, and Jamie says that this could make the ME's report inadmissible. But John doesn't want to leave it to chance, and he orders Rip to take care of the problem. This makes it clear to us that John has no issue having someone killed if it means that it will protect his family. As Rip arrives at the ME's office, the guy is once again about to smoke embalming fluid. Rip makes his intentions clear and the ME tries to attack Rip, but no cigar. Rip stuffs the microwave with a bunch of metal tools and a metal tray. He pulls the oxygen hose out of the wall and incapacitates the ME. The microwave catches fire and the office is about to go boom. Considering this medical examiner's history, this is gonna look like a suicide and he will seem like a troubled individual. So his autopsies on Lee and Robert will be questionable and other law enforcement agencies will not be able to dig up Lee's body to confirm the autopsy because he got cremated. This plan doesn't make the Duttons look innocent in the public eye, but it means that the authorities won't have enough credible evidence to go after Casey. It is definitely a little bit of a sloppy job, but as we've seen in the real world these last few years, criminal conspiracies like this are discussed for like a week and then we move on to the next thing. The Duttons are hoping that people will just move on like that and forget about this because there isn't enough evidence to take it to court. John also has to deal with two livestock agents who can identify Casey as the shooter. John knows the father of one of these agents, so he shuts him up by talking to his dad. The other agent, McReary, is harder to convince, but John uses the fact that McReary is religious and talks to Father Bob about delivering a sermon to convince McReary. Father Bob talks about the 9th commandment during his sermon, which is about not providing false testimony about your neighbors, flock, and shepherds. McReary then has a private chat with Father Bob and they clear the air, but it's not certain what McReary is going to do. But it does look like he's gonna shut up. Back at the res, it turns out that the tribal police have access to the autopsy reports as well. Rainwater and company speculate that Casey must be the shooter because they know he was at the scene, but they don't think Casey will cooperate with their inquiries. In the meantime, Casey's dealing with more trivial matters like his tractor getting stuck because of a rock. Casey gets a bit too mad and decides to blow it up as Tate watches on, which understandably makes Monica angry. However, Tate is awestruck because the explosion uncovers a dinosaur skeleton and he checks it out with his dad. Later on, Casey is thinking about rejoining the military, and on their way to pick up Tate from school, he tells Monica about this. She cannot fathom why Casey would want to leave them, because remember, she doesn't know that Casey shot her brother. Just as Casey gets prepared to discuss this with Monica, a building on the side of the road explodes. Casey thinks this was most likely a drug lab, and he tries to see if there are any survivors. There is indeed one survivor, but his condition is terrible and the ambulance won't be there for a long time because it's in the middle of nowhere. The man begs Casey to end his suffering, and Casey does because he was a goner anyway. This is somewhat similar to what John did in the very first scene of the show when he had to kill his horse because it was heavily injured. The humane thing to do was to kill it, which is also the case with Casey and this Burns guy. So, like father, like son. The tribal police arrive alongside Chief Rainwater, and they think Casey's account of what happened here is accurate. But in order to avoid a legal mess, one of the policemen takes Casey's pistol, and this policeman acts like he shot the Burns guy, allowing Casey to leave. Then Rainwater invites Casey to a sweat ceremony to wash off the evil. Rainwater uses this opportunity to influence Casey, and they discuss fathers and sons as well as picking sides. This is no doubt referring to the cattle incident and what happened to Monica's brother Robert. Rainwater insists that even though Casey will see a map of his future during the sweat, he'll still be able to branch out and make his own choices. After the sweat, Casey gets on the road to go home and he encounters a wolf standing in the highway. A truck is fast approaching, so Casey honks to get either the wolf moving or the truck to stop. Neither of those pan out and the truck crushes the wolf. Rainwater had just told Casey how he could shape his own destiny, but Casey couldn't even get a wolf to move out of the way or a truck to stop. As much as we like to think that our influence is great on this world, sometimes and maybe oft times, things are simply out of our control. They are inevitable. Just as the wolf couldn't avoid the oncoming truck, Casey won't be able to separate himself from his family and their fight. Casey once again gets ready to confess to Monica about killing her brother, and Monica says she can forgive Casey for anything he's done, but he doubts that. There is no confession for now as Casey joins his son and they talk about their dinosaur skeleton. Meanwhile, Beth and Rip hang out, and this time they go to watch wolves kill elks at night. We see Beth's crazy side once again as she runs out of the car to confront a wolf. She's not remotely okay in the head. Also, after trying to tame the wild horse given to him by Casey, John decides he is too old for this and he gets Jimmy to ride it. Jimmy's no cowboy, but he manages to hold on for a few hours after Rip tapes him into the saddle. The horse is persistent, but so is Jimmy. Maybe there's a little bit of cowboy in him after all. Well, that does it for episode 2. What did you think about this one? Leave your comments down below, like this video if you've enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe for more movie reviews and TV show breakdowns. That's it for now, take care and see you in the next video.